Garfunkel and Paul Simon are names that evoke the very heart of the 1960s folk music, synonymous with haunting harmonies, poetic lyrics, and a cultural moment that still echoes today. As Simon and Garfunkel, they became one of the most beloved duos in American music history, creating songs like The Sound of Silence and Bridge Over Troubled Water that remain timeless. But behind their beautiful music lay a complicated relationship, strained by creative differences, personal ambitions, and decades of emotional distance. Recently, Garfunkel has revealed the deeply moving story of how he broke down in tears during an emotional reunion with Simon, a meeting that saw the two legends finally confront the pain that had kept them apart for so long. Art Garfunkel and Paul Simon's friendship stretches back to their teenage years in Queens, where they bonded over a shared love of music and comedy. As Tom and Jerry, they recorded their first single in the late 50s, but it wasn't until they embraced the folk scene of the 60s that their careers took off. Their breakthrough came with The Sound of Silence, a song that initially went unnoticed until it was remixed and became a surprise hit. This paved the way for albums like Parsley, Sage, Rosemary, and Thyme, and Bookends, culminating in the masterpiece Bridge Over Troubled Water in 1970. These weren't just commercially successful works, they became cultural landmarks. Yet even at the height of their fame, tensions simmered beneath the surface. Paul Simon, the primary songwriter, often felt overshadowed by Garfunkel's angelic voice, while Garfunkel resented being perceived merely as the voice of Simon's creations. These insecurities manifested in subtle but lasting conflicts, including Simon's dismay over Garfunkel's decision to pursue acting roles at the peak of their musical success. Garfunkel's turn in films like Catch-22 strained the partnership further, making Simon question his bandmates' commitment. And by the time Bridge Over Troubled Water was released, the duo was barely speaking, even as they accepted Grammy Awards for their work. Their split felt inevitable, and in 1970, they went their separate ways. Over the years, they reunited for events like the historic 1981 concert in Central Park, but these moments of harmony were fleeting. Old wounds often reopened, particularly as Garfunkel voiced public frustrations. In one 2015 interview, he famously called Simon a jerk and an idiot, questioning how his friend could walk away from their immense success. These comments, while cathartic for Garfunkel at the time, deepened the rift. Despite these conflicts, their connection never completely disappeared. Paul Simon, in his 2001 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame speech, expressed regret over their fractured friendship, saying, quote, "I hope that someday before we die, we will make peace with each other. No rush." The reunion that changed everything.
Really, we are our oldest friends. We've known each other since the age of 11. And whatever it was, the squabbles as they're called, that's pretty much what it was, just squabbles. It was time to just say, forgive, forget, move on. It's not like you have forever in life.
Fast forward to 2024, and fate intervened to bring the estranged duo back together. As Garfunkel explained in an interview, the catalyst for the reunion came from an unexpected source, Paul Simon's family. Paul's ex-wife, Peggy Simon, had moved into the place where I live, and their son Harper ran into me in the halls. "I knew this was going to happen sooner or later," Garfunkel said. It was Harper who set up a lunch between old friends, creating the opportunity for a conversation that had been decades in the making. When they finally met, the encounter was nothing short of emotional. Garfunkel recalled with disarming honesty, quote, "I looked at Paul and said, 'What happened? Why haven't we seen each other?' Paul mentioned an old interview where I said some stuff. I cried when he told me how much I had hurt him. Looking back, I guess I wanted to shake up the nice guy image of Simon and Garfunkel. You know what? I was a fool." The meeting forced Garfunkel to confront his own role in their fractured relationship, and the candidness of Simon's words hit him deeply. Paul said to me, "Artie, it's not that you spoke to the British press and that you didn't do it well. I know you felt we were too conservative, but I felt you wanted to hurt me, and I thought that's true." The next thing I knew, I burst into tears. This moment of raw confession lifted years of unspoken bitterness off Garfunkel's shoulders. Quote, "The admission of the truth is psychological," he reflected. "You give it up and admit that you wanted to hurt somebody. You're touched by your own confession." And then there were hugs. It was a wonderful moment for Simon and Garfunkel. It basically ended the years of detachment. For Garfunkel, the reunion wasn't just about making amends. It was about reclaiming a friendship that had defined so much of his life. The emotional weight of that lunch stayed with Garfunkel. He spoke of how deeply Simon's words moved him, adding, quote, "As I think about it now, tears are rolling down my cheeks. I can still feel his hug. Their conversation wasn't just an exchange of apologies, but an acknowledgement of the profound bond they shared. Garfunkel's son, Art Jr., revealed how transformative the meeting had been for his father, saying, quote, "They've had their ups and downs over the years, but after the meeting, Dad was so happy. He called me and said, 'Paul's my brother, he's family.'" Looking back at a lifetime of music and meaning.
Art hasn't been able to sing for about a year and a half now.
Yeah.
He has a problem with his vocal cord, and so he hasn't gotten his voice back. So I don't know if there ever will be a Simon and Garfunkel tour. I would like to do one more.
Yeah.
Of course, I feel like, a tremendous empathy for his loss. I can very well imagine what it would feel like not to be able to sing or play.
While their reunion was deeply personal, it also highlighted the enduring impact of their music. Garfunkel, reflecting on their career, expressed awe at the lasting power of their songs. Quote, "The songs have lives of their own. What becomes popular, what does not resonate with an audience, you make the music and then you simply let go of it," he mused. For him, the success of Simon and Garfunkel's catalog remains a source of gratitude. Quote, "We've been blessed with extraordinary success. For context, Van Gogh today is recognized as a peerless master. In his lifetime, he never sold a single painting," Garfunkel said. "Sound of Silence didn't become popular until it was remixed and re-released. Bridge Over Troubled Water has become a hymn of sorts. The song's played all over the world every day. At least that's what our royalty checks tell us," he added with a laugh. Simon and Garfunkel's music has transcended generations, speaking to listeners of all ages. Songs like Homeward Bound and Mrs. Robinson aren't merely nostalgic tunes, they've become part of the American cultural fabric. Even today, their work continues to resonate, as evidenced by Simon's recent performance of Homeward Bound alongside Sabrina Carpenter on the SNL 50th Anniversary Special. Healing the past, rewriting the future. Though their musical legacy is secure, their personal reconciliation may be their most meaningful achievement. Garfunkel described the lunch with Simon as a turning point, not just for their relationship, but for his own sense of closure. Quote, "For me, it was about wanting to make amends before it's too late," he said. Both men, now 83, understand the fragility of time. Simon, who has retired from touring due to hearing loss, has spoken about hoping to regain his ability to perform full-length concerts, while Garfunkel continues to perform live, often with his son. The possibility of a musical reunion remains uncertain, but Garfunkel isn't ruling it out. Quote, "Reunion? It's a significant question. Paul and I will keep talking. We may give it a try and see where it leads. You never know. Paul is touring right now, and I applaud him for being so generous and innovative. My partner is an amazing talent." His words hint at a deep respect for Simon that has outlasted their conflicts, and perhaps a willingness to explore new creative endeavors together. Even Garfunkel's son has suggested the pair could work together again, saying, quote, "I do think there is a possibility of them getting together musically, maybe a big TV or charity event. And with a bit of encouragement from their peers in the music industry, this could lead to some new material." Whether or not this comes to pass, the simple fact that Simon and Garfunkel are back in communication is a triumph in itself, a testament to the power of forgiveness and friendship. The basis of the bond. One of the most revealing parts of Garfunkel's reflections was his description of what made their connection so special. Quote, "Paul's very funny. The basis of the Simon and Garfunkel relationship is laughter and jokes, even more than the music. We're both Lenny Bruce fans. We love Mike Nichols and Elaine May. We love Mel Brooks. Right from the beginning, we laughed all the time, and it was the source of our connection." Now it's time to hear from you. Do you think Simon and Garfunkel will ever reunite for one last project or performance? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below.